This infernal place has taken me hostage. I keep coming close to death, but this world is keeping me alive. That sound, it's calling me again and again. Endless hordes surround me. They hunger for my humanity. Will I resist or embrace?
Sundered is a 2D side-scrolling action-adventure platformer that was created by the indie developers of Thunder Lotus, which is actually the second project they worked on since their major release being their first game, Eldritch, a game that has been on my radar for quite some time now. Sundered was released in 2017 through Steam, and in 2018 Thunder Lotus released a console port to the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. This edition was known as the Eldritch edition, which included the base game with all the extra bells and whistles that were updates, added to make this edition the definitive edition. The Eldritch edition is what I'll be reviewing since I purchased it via the PlayStation Store. So let's get into this review. Sundered has a very authentic look to it. Everything is hand-drawn and visually stunning as it is creepy. As I traverse the many levels of this game, I noticed that it's the art in the background that adds life to somewhat of the repetitive nature of some of the levels. There are 4 major areas in this game that you explore with their own themes represented by their various colors and individual designs. If anything, this game understands the definition of scope. For example, during the boss fight when the camera pans out, it gives a clear-cut perspective of how massive in size the boss is and just how small and insignificant you seem in comparison, making your boss encounters more epic. I kept hearing the name of H.P. Lovecraft being mentioned whenever this game has been brought up. Supposedly he is the game's inspiration for the design of the characters. Personally, I am unfamiliar with his works, but with a little research, I can see the resemblance of his works within this game. There is another game out there that I'll be playing real soon that pays homage to his creations. All in all, creatively, this game nails its unique presentation. The story of Sundered took me some time to decipher, but this is the gist of it from the seemingly cryptic pieces I was able to gather. So this game takes place during a post-apocalyptic state where human beings seem to be on the path to becoming extinct. During this horrible time, 2 kinds of people existed who both had their own ideologies of how the humans can rebuild their fallen civilization. One was known as the Valkyries, who believed that through science a solution can be found. These people possessed military might and were technologically advanced, utilizing these resources to enforce their will for the good of humanity, or at least in their eyes. The other group of people were known as the Eldritch, a religious-like cult who believed that humanity could begin anew through their worship of a godlike being known as the Elder One. They possessed a stone shard known as the Shining Trapeze, which they believed to be the key to opening up a portal. This portal would bring the Elder One into the human realm. Because of their different beliefs, the Eldritch were driven to live underground where they dwelled, until the day came when these 2 people would go to war over their beliefs. The shining trapezahedron that the Eldritch held dear to being the key to their god was discovered by the Valkyries, who out of their ignorance attempt to harness its power using science and technology. Unfortunately, this was a fatal mistake, and the consequence for such actions led to both people becoming something else. Many years pass by, and the traveler who is caught in a sandstorm stumbles upon the remains of the events that transpired and is taken to the land where she will have to understand and survive the horrible outcomes due to the Eldritch and Valkyries' actions. While doing this, she is accompanied by the very thing that set these events into motion.
Stydau gathis gwychliol cys stanfag ylensdach. Yn megran chat, leidda, بقرنك يهث شرام ويخليه خافيث سنشم خاحب بعدين من كانش نساش لك أفاوشك ليخليه فخر تلسخا فهت ونان شكسيما فكبس بجنا ساي خلاف مكل فايتش ويخليه بخلكت.
The main character has a health bar, a shield that regenerates over time but can break if hit too many times, a stamina bar because what type of modern day pseudo-action platformer would be without a stamina bar, and lastly a place for your ammo for when you get your oversized proton cannon, whose recoil will send you flying across the screen. Now to the combat. For offense, you have this lightsaber whip thing that does damage. When you attack more, a meter fills up that allows you to pull off a finisher causing more critical damage. You also have the ability to dodge, which makes you temporarily invincible, which will come in handy. Now to fully understand the gameplay, at least in the combat aspect, let's just say that this guy here is you and that this chair is the enemy.
"12 seconds later."
Sundered is a game that can go from peaceful in one moment, then straight hellish the next second. Enemies randomly appear in hordes, and when the camera pans out, usually that means things are about to get real. As you progress through the game, you'll encounter more and more enemies who are tougher and types that are usually grounded or airborne. You are granted with and will find shards that are used as currency in the game to enhance your character. In the beginning of the game, you are introduced to a grid which you can deposit your shards to increase your character stats. Think of Salt and Sanctuary, you know, the proclaimed 2D Dark Souls, and the character progression grid. Speaking of Dark Souls, in this game when you die, you will die, and I mean a lot. You are sent back to the Sanctuary where the number of shards collected are still intact for you to upgrade your character. In my first hours of playing this game, my only issue was the lack of fast travels to certain areas. Sometimes repeatedly traversing a large stretch of space just so I can have another shot at facing off an enemy that has killed me repeatedly, or to gain something in an area where hordes of enemies can be just brutal and kill me anyway can be a bit frustrating if you do it over time. But then I began to understand the purpose and the creator's design for this game, and that word is being the word progression. For example, whenever I died and had to continuously go back to the section, I would end up with a good amount of shards to upgrade my person each time that I went back. I was never at the same level each time I went back to that place in my previous deaths. Something about my character was increased, whether it was my strength to deal more damage, more health, stronger shield, or another important aspect of my character. It is at this point where you begin to see that the game in an indirect way heavily implies that death is actually something intended, a necessity if you will, to strengthen your character. Just like the old saying goes, death is only the beginning. Here is some helpful advice. Invest your shards into your luck. This will increase the likely chance of obtaining shards. This will also save you a lot of time and headache later on because as you purchase your upgrades, you begin to notice the price of your other upgrades go up drastically. Throughout the game, you may keep seeing the key phrase, embrace or resist. That is because throughout your playthrough after you defeat a boss, you are granted with ancient shards that when put together creates a fragment that can be used or destroyed. Using the shards means that you embrace. And what you embrace is actually the darkness, so to speak. By doing this, the abilities you attain throughout the game will be enhanced dramatically. On the other hand, destroying the shards also grants you perks, but this would mean that you are resisting. Meaning you are resisting the evil temptation and decide to stay on the straight and narrow. The choices that you make on either embracing or resisting is permanent and decides what type of ending that the player will obtain after the game's completion. There are 3 various types of endings, so the fate of what happens depends solely on your actions. The music of Sundered is ominous with its tone. As a matter of fact, a whole lot of the songs on Sundered's OST possesses a focus on string instruments. Some songs I heard felt like a whole orchestra piece creating a vast sound. just as vast as the imagination I had when trying to mentally picture Sundered's world. And that's just simply based off the emotions the music evokes. But just as big and vast some of the songs are on this project, there are some subtle songs as well, utilizing a vibrato-like technique that adds another level of an unsettling atmosphere to the already horror element of this game's narrative. Throughout Sundered's OST, a sense of diversity in the instrumentation is found and purposely treated with care when arranging these compositions, such as dominating tribal drums, a little bit of synths, and a lot of horns. But in other times while playing this game, the music can go silent, with only you hearing the character move. The music of Sundered is arranged by Mass LL and is available of purchase through his Bandcamp. Go check it out when you find the time. It's pretty good. The sound design for this game is really spot on. You can hear the enemies sometimes before they show up on the screen with their strange noises and yells. However, one of the noticeable things that should be given credit is the voice actors. When you play this game, you quickly realize that the language being spoken in dialogue sounds a bit different. That is thanks to Catherine Lickaroff. My apologies, Catherine Lickaroff, a person who single-handedly created a new language just for this game called the Eldritch language. This only makes it more convincing that the world of Sundered possesses its own history, lore, and dare I say culture. Not to mention when you hear the gravity and the tone that demands attention from the words being spoken by voice actor Oliver Barrett. Oliver Barrett? What? No, not you, Barrett. Wrong game. I really suck at names, but just for the time being, we'll just call him Mr. O. Yeah, O gets my respect for even possessing the ability to read what probably seems like random configurations of the alphabet. Because if I sounded like him... I'm pretty sure that it won't be long before someone sends a professional to come see about me. The sound design for Sundered is pretty good. I mean, even though some of the sounds actually sound like... In conclusion, my overall experience with the game Sundered is very memorable. From its art style to its details to everything that they utilized in just bringing this concept together. Sundered is currently available for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and also Steam. Go pick it up. Peace.